come on in and pick out your bunk. We're in the women's section of the detention center at this point. This is the minimum security. It's a dorm. We've color coordinated the different classifications. The green indicates minimum security. Blue is medium security. Black is maximum security. Yellow is work release programs. So they will have corresponding uniforms as inmates in. So whenever they're moving around the building, we know which classification they're on, where they should be, or if they're out of place, where they should not be. But this is the female side. We'll see the female side of the detention center first. The control room behind you is watching 2 pods at one time, plus cameras around, so forth. But these are the metal steel cells that were installed. So this is the isolation, and the next one will see be medium security.
Don't look at it too far around.
Excuse me now.
More visitation than we've ever had before to get in contact with their families and their loved ones to help get that rehabilitation back in and so forth. So that'll help out a lot. All right, next we're going to go straight across the hall into the intake book area.
Right in here, when the men is on that side, the women is right back.
It is what you see. All the flooring is in. This is the intake booking area. In here is an area that we've not had before. It's in the existing facilities called mini issues. We have holding cells when somebody's booked in and so forth. If they're intoxicated, they're going to stay in for one night till they're sober up, then we can put them back out. They will not be going into the general population taking stuff in. This is the women's side, that's the men's side, and we have group, in case you have a group and so forth and so we're booked. So we've got holding cells in here that we can check them in, make sure they're all right, get them fed, get all the information, give them a little bit of time to settle down and so forth, and we can classify them depending on where they're going to be, to where they're going into minimum, medium, or maximum security and go that. You'll see this glass wall up here, that is the law enforcement side. That's where the law enforcement will bring their arrestees in. Once they finish their paperwork and they'll be brought in, then they'll come through here and they'll be booked and photographed, fingerprinted, and start the process. I'll show you this one room around.
Hold the door for a woman.
If we don't shut the metal door behind us, I'll have to call somebody, use my cell phone, get the signal, and let us out. This is the inmate property storage room. Inmates bring in a lot of stuff, plus the clothes. If you were coming into jail, you would have to strip down, get a shower, and be issued clothes. Those clothes that you're taking off have got to be kept and maintain all your personal belongings. They'll be passed through a window in here, and this is where they'll be stored, recorded, and it'll kept safe until time for you to leave and go out that side, and we'll give you stuff back to you. If one thing we've got here available that we do not have now is if you come in and you've been in the mud or soiled yourself or thrown up on yourself and so forth, the way it used to be, we just held on to that and gave it to you whenever you got out. That's the only thing we could do. Now we'll have the capability to be able to wash and clean that and vacuum seal it and so forth, so it'll be handed back to you so that we're not releasing you back to the street in the muddy, dirty clothes that you came into. And that should be a big benefit to help in the community with that. Here it is, double tier, and also double front. So we can have up to 48 inmates in this one pod. It's got one control room watching it due to the sheer number of inmates in it. A little more space, a little more spacious in that. DOC regulations have a minimum requirement for the amount of square footage that the facility can have per inmate, and that's what we had to meet with the specifications on it and so forth. So. Next we'll go into the medical student. We'll be contracting medical services. We'll have a nurse on duty 24/7, a doctor coming in 4 hours a week, nurse practitioner coming in 12 hours a week. So they'll be waiting here. We've got 3 treatment and exam rooms on the left side of the hall. The first room is a dental room set up where if we can get the dental equipment, we can do, only dental work that we do is extractions, and we can do those instead of taking the inmate out to a dental office once if we get that. Down the back hall is offices for the doctors and nurse, and also there is an exit there to the vehicle sally port. In the current situation with the jail, if the inmate needs to be brought out by a rescue squad or emergency, they've got to come through the booking hall and down right to the main court and so forth. Now we'll be able to take them out, and they won't be interfering or blocking, we won't be blocking them from exiting out. In this, we have 6 holding cells in here. If somebody's really sick, does not need to be back out in population, communicable disease, or just really sick and throwing up, they can be housed in here. The first 4 pods of cells are just normal cells. The back 2 cells are environmentally sealed. There are positive pressure ventilation systems in there where if there is a highly contagious disease and so forth, we can contain them in there and it does not get back into the rest of the facility. We've got the nurses station. We got the records room with the file system. We got the pharmacy here and the lab here for them to work. We also have an X-ray room in the back where right now if the inmate falls, possible broken arm, broken leg, and we've got to take them to the emergency room to be X-rayed. Here we can take them in there. They can call a private vendor to come in, provide a portable X-ray, and they take the X-ray here. It's safer for citizens, so we don't have the inmate going back and forth and have to secure them. It's also cheaper because we're doing it here in-house, pay for the X-ray, not having to pay for the emergency room charges and the hospital charges. The hope is, and we feel like reality is that we'll reduce our hospital costs and the emergency room visits costs by having this facility here in-house. Plus, we'll be able to take better care of the inmates and provide them a healthier inmate going back out on the street. So it's a positive in all around. But this is the maximum security for the male and also the mental health, and we can do male and female if we need to here. Not one female pod, one male pod, not together in one. GED, specialty classes, how to be a father, how to be a mother, how to get along in the community and so forth. We can do educational programs now that we cannot do in the current facilities that we're in. We're also working with in communication with Patrick Henry Community College and looking to see what type of certification programs we can add in here and work, such as culinary arts. You'll see a full kitchen in here that's full state of the art, probably one of the best equipped kitchens in this region in here on that. But we've got 2 classrooms, we've got the chapel, and also we've got the chaplain's office down here so that they'll be here to work with the inmates and help get them ready to be released. This is the master control room number 2. This will basically be used daytime only because there will just be more movement and traffic going through and so forth, more movement of inmates. So these 2 control rooms will control every door, every lock, so forth, and going into the building. If you see the silver panel, if you need to get in that door, you'll push that intercom button. They'll acknowledge you, see you on a computer screen, and they will electronically allow you to unlock the door and allow you to go in or out or not. So every movement in here, well, you got 300 and some inmates moving around with officers moving them. It's going to be a lot for these control rooms to do. Also, at this point, you're halfway through the facility. This is a new beast and animal for us to learn. This is called direct supervision. You notice there's not a control room that'll be overseeing and watching these inmates. This is direct supervision. We'll have an officer working behind this counter. They'll be in the pod with the officer. The theory and practice of this is that they get used to dealing with the officers, and officers get used to dealing with the inmates, and hopefully create a better relationship and so forth. So once they are released and get out in the community, it builds that bond and relationship and a little bit more trust. Really good thing about this facility, if you get in here, this is where you want to be other than work release, and I'll show that in a minute. But they can work with the inmates and so forth, and they can build that rapport. If they act up and they're not following the rules, then we just bump them out and we change the classification. We put them in medium security where they don't have as many privileges and available to them. So they learn that if you act right, you get more privileges and so forth. If you act wrong, you're going to be disciplined and you're going to be bumped back and get less, more restrictive and less privileges as you go. If they act up from there, then we bump them into maximum security, where it's really restrictive and so forth. So it's hopefully education and so forth, but it'll be 48 inmates in here, and there are 2 pods. The next one is identical to this with the pod and situation. And it got the outdoor recs. Water and sewer and electrical in each individual cell if you need to by this and so forth, and have control. So this gives maintenance guys enough room to work and do what they need to do in there. You can just look at it as you go by. This is the male work release pod. You kind of walk around this suite. You'll see the female work release pod going that way. It's designed for 8. This is designed for 32. In there, they'll be totally separate. We run our home electronic monitoring out of here. They'll come in and out separately. They'll have access. The ones going in and out of the jail facility on a daily basis, either going to work somewhere, we're taking them to work somewhere, or we've got them on a work crew out working, will never come in contact with the inmate population inside. This will help reduce the amount of contraband coming in and contact and illegal substances coming into the jail. We can control it here. If you come to the facility, you want to be dressed in yellow. This is work release. You have more freedom, you have more privileges, but it's still a jail facility and you have restrictions. In here, they'll be able to do their own laundry, plus in here with washers and dryers in each pod. They'll have their own, they'll be stripped every day coming in, issue new clothes, and their work uniforms will be washed and dried, and they'll take care of it. Be more self-sufficient here. The only contact they'll have from the secure part in there will be from their food coming from the kitchen, will be delivered in, and then it'll be handed out and so forth. They'll eat in the pods here. You can go in, you can see the lobby, you can see the exit. We have a capability, if we got an inmate that has a driver's license, has a job, and the judge doesn't mind, we can let them go and they have a vehicle. They can park their vehicle here. They can drive to work, run their check, pay their fines, and come back and check in and so forth. We'll have work programs where we can take people to work. We've had several industries that are willing to work with us and look at it and see if we can get them jobs, hopefully teach them a trade. If we just release them back on the street and they go back to where they were and what they were in and so forth, history has proven that it's probably just going to repeat itself. So if we can do something to change that lifestyle and put a different input in, hopefully we can change the life and so forth where we're not having a repeat offender coming back over and over and over into the facility. So that's the goal. If we can change the life in 1 or 2, then it saves us money and so forth and improves the community out there. But y'all can look at, if you want to look down the hall to the female side, and then in the lobby area, and then we'll go down and finish up.
I got it. Oh, okay.
Thank you. This is the public lobby with access to the attorney visitation. area. The attorneys will go in on this side, through there. We'll bring the inmate up on the other side, and they'll have face-to-face with their, attorney. We've got the capability there where the attorney can bring a laptop and can show a document to a screen on the other side and so forth, whatever the attorneys need. They don't have to go downstairs anymore and sit into a little booth with 3 or 4 attorneys sitting beside of you. We've got 6 individual, pods in there with a door, and it'd be private and so forth for the attorney. Inside the glass wall there is the area for the video visitation. That's where the families will come. They'll check in here with the officer at the front desk, and they'll be assigned a booth to go to. Then they can sit down and have the time, visit with their, inmate, the family member that's incarcerated, and they can spend time in there and so forth. And that'll free up our, visitation once again. Since COVID hit, we've not been able to do, any visitation because we do not have video visitation in the current facility. This will allow that to open back up. We can allow, used to be, we had male visits on Saturday, female visits on Sunday, and they'd be lined up in the parking lot. It was just not a good atmosphere for the families or for the inmates who had to move them through the facility. This way we can bring them in, they can sit down, they have a video visit, and they can actually see their loved one, and they can talk with them and communicate and see that they're okay. We don't have to move the inmate out of the cell other than for attorney visitation, so forth. This is the front lobby, so. And that is pretty much the tour. We'll go back through and back into the room.
We gonna get the mat.
Oh, well, hold on, Joe.
I'm the door blocker.
Door block. You doing a good job.
I do it very well.
It'll probably be typically 15 minutes or so, that'll be so, and it depends on, what the situation is. Maybe longer on, holiday and so forth, just depends on how it's back up. But that be said, automatic time, so.